out there in the J area, pro wrestling fans across the world. It is Thursday, so you know what that means. Another edition of the Throwback Thursday live stream. Hopefully, the week has been treating you all just as well as it's been treating me as we get one day closer to the show of shows, WrestleMania. We do another throwback stream discussing one of the stars of the past, with today's topic being the Ultimate Warrior. It was a topic that I promised you guys last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do so, but now here we are today on another Thursday stream to discuss the controversial career of the Ultimate Warrior, regarded as one of the top stars of his era back in the golden era of professional wrestling, and still regarded as one of the big faces of all time. I mean, he's one of the more recognizable figures of the sport, whether it's due to the maniacal type of promos that he would cut, the energy that he exuded on his way to the ring, his unique wrestling ability for sure, or just point blank, just the look. I mean, we're talking the physique, we're talking the face paint. The Ultimate Warrior goes down as one of the all time recognizable characters in not only pro wrestling history, but pop culture. I think there's an argument to be made that the Ultimate Warrior was on the same, if not close to the same tier of your Hulk Hogan's, of your Roddy Pipers, your Randy Macho Man Savages. Shout out to Muhammad in the chat. I see you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for joining us today on the Thursday stream. But the topic being Ultimate Warrior, I want to give people an opportunity here to join the live stream. Go ahead and comment down below some of your favorite Ultimate Warrior matches or some of your favorite Ultimate Warrior memories. And if it's not Ultimate Warrior related, please feel free to drop down some comments, questions, anything related to that of professional wrestling. I see my friend Tijuana Taco in the chat as well. What's going on, my friend? Thank you again for taking the time out of your day to join us here on another live stream. We're trying to get back in the habit of that. We were a little bit sick last week, but we're back in the full strength of things. And I'm so blessed, so happy to have you guys along with us as well. Doing well. Thank you so much for the wishes, Mohammed. I'm doing a lot better. Glad to have you here with us as well. Hopefully, everyone's experiencing the same type of fortunes in terms of their health, in terms of their happiness. Everything going on in the world right now is a lot to be positive about. So I'm hoping that there's some positivity heading your guys' way as well. And we talk about positivity. I mean, the Ultimate Warrior, I don't know if it's the right word to say is radiated with positivity, but there was always this positive electricity that came with the energy of the Ultimate Warrior. His connection with the audience became organic, and the rise to stardom that we saw the Ultimate Warrior, better known as Jim Hellwig, is certainly something to take note of. Doing okay, just a bit under the weather yet again, unfortunately. Muhammad, hopefully you pull through. Kick out of the flu there, just as we all hope you are, my friend. Sammy, what's going on? Thank you for making the live. Glad to have you here, my friend. I wish we had more positivity in the world. 100%. Could not agree more. Could not agree more. In a world that is surrounded by darkness and negativity, I feel like there's always some positivity out there. Sometimes you just have to look for it, or maybe it'll find you as well. Tijuana Tacos in the chat here says, next to Hogan, Ultimate Warrior was my fave. Loved his entrance and energy in the matches. A very unique presentation. I mean, for me, the Ultimate Warrior, I was always a Piper and a Savage guy. Piper and Savage were my guys in the 80s, but the Ultimate Warrior, just off of presence alone, certainly left his mark in the business. My favorite matchup of his, truthfully, is between he and the Macho Man during WrestleMania 7, that retirement matchup. I thought that was one of the best matches of his career, arguably the best match of that WrestleMania. And the moment afterward with Macho Man and the Miss Elizabeth, it was, it was an all-time moment for me as a fan, for sure. But we talk about Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, a bit of a controversial figure, at least in the WWE sake, because of his relationship with that of Vince McMahon, of course, the former chairman, the former boss of the WWE. Not anymore, obviously, if you guys know and keep up with the news these last couple of years. Not the case. But early on in his life, right, Jim Hellwig was a bodybuilder. I mean, how could he not be, right? You saw the physique, you saw the build. Of course, this guy takes care of himself and he's in good shape. He knows how to have a healthy regimen of weightlifting, protein based. He was a bodybuilder in the 80s. He met actually Steve Borden, who was also a guy that was in the bodybuilding business. Steve Borden, better known as Sting, the man they call Sting, who had a very, very successful career out in WCW, TNA, had a quick cup of coffee with the WWE, and of course finished out his career in AEW. But Sting and his career, that is a topic for another stream some other time. These guys were in the bodybuilding business, try saying that 7 times fast, and then at one point they were offered an opportunity to join the wrestling business. Early on, they were known as the Freedom Fighters before they would actually change into the Blade Runners. Obviously, a little bit of a nod to the very popular film starring Harrison Ford. But the Blade Runners were seen much more as a carbon copy, a little bit of a parody of the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, also known as Legion of Doom. It was during that time where tag team wrestling was starting to pick up steam again. And they saw someone like the Road Warriors. And whenever you see a successful act such as Hawk and Animal, you're going to want to replicate it. You're going to want to ride that wave of momentum, and hopefully it picks you up as well and leads you to stardom. It wouldn't last too long because the Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig, would go on his solo way as he would join World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW, and he would join them in 1986 to 1987, where he would better known by as the Dingo Warrior. His final appearance, though, was in June of 1987. It wasn't really for that long of a period of time where Warrior, the Dingo Warrior at that time, would join the WCW. It was Sting that went to the WCW and had his own fruitful career. The Dingo Warrior would then change into the Ultimate Warrior as he joins the WWE, and the origins that led to the name the Ultimate Warrior, there's a little bit of a conflicting story. There are two different trains of thought when it comes to how the Dingo Warrior became the Ultimate Warrior. The first one, of course, is that Vince McMahon, right, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, was aware of Kerry Von Erich, one of the sons of the very infamous Von Erich family, who we actually covered on a previous live stream. Go ahead and check out the archives if you want to have more of an in-depth conversation regarding the Von Erich family and their little family curse, if you believe in that. Kerry Von Erich was better known as the modern day warrior. And then you had off in the tag team division, you had the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. So by combining the two, we wanted to prove that he wasn't the modern day warrior and he wasn't a road warrior, but he was rather the ultimate warrior, being the top echelon of warriors. Shout out to San Fran Filer. Vince is a jabroni. You already know it, buddy. So he was known as the Ultimate Warrior. That's one theory. The other theory, of course, is that in a promo, Jim Hellwig, aka the Ultimate Warrior, had proclaimed that he was not this warrior, that he was not that warrior, but that he was simply the Ultimate Warrior. Now, I know for me, I like to think that the first version is the truth, being that there was the modern day warrior and the road warriors, and here we have the Ultimate Warrior. It just sounds more of a plausible possibility. I think Vince McMahon is known to be one of those guys who wants to have a say in his characters, has to have an ownership of his characters, really. Ultimate Warrior, recognized for the high energy, his memorable entrance, as well as the unique promo styles that he would have in the 80s and 90s. Let's go over here to Tijuana Tacos. It's sad to hear that the Ultimate Warrior was not a team player and didn't get along with the guys in the locker room. It doesn't change the love and way I still feel about him. It's and it, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have one of these live streams be about the Ultimate Warrior. Hearing that he was one of your favorites rings a little bit close to home for me because my dad, big fan of the Ultimate Warrior, that was his guy growing up in the 80s. So through him, I kind of have a kinship to the Ultimate Warrior. Like I said, I'm more of a Macho Man Roddy Piper fan, but I do see it. I'm not that kind of a guy where it's like, if you're a fan of this person, I'm like, oh, why? Why are you shouldn't like that guy? No. I can see where the fandom begins and why people enjoy the Ultimate Warrior. I enjoy the Ultimate Warrior. I'm not going to say he's my favorite, but I get it. But I get it. And you talk about being, or rather, the lack of being a team player. We will get to that in a moment because I think that's really where the legacy of the Ultimate Warrior kind of begins. Johnny, the Lakers are playing. They are. That is correct. I'm going to try to catch the second half of that game. Um, so we talked about the high energy, the memorable moments, the Ultimate Warrior, one of the all-time greats in the 80s and the golden era. And he would start amassing a lot of attention, a lot of success. The crowd fanfare was there. People were becoming invested in this high octane offense that was the Ultimate Warrior and believing that he was able to amass all this power from other universes and talk about how the warrior's way, that the other warriors were going to help fuel him to victory. He would eventually have a championship opportunity here. He would win the Intercontinental Championship and begin a long reign at the top of the WWE as one of their top baby faces. He would even parlay that Intercontinental title into an opportunity to rival that against Hulk Hogan. At that point, there was a little bit of a, I want to say rivalry, but the crowd was very receptive to the Warrior. And I feel like the Ultimate Warrior kind of got that notion that, hey, I'm picking up a little bit of steam here. I'm getting a little bit more success. Maybe I should be treated just as big of a star as Hulk Hogan. Over time, he would have those opportunities. He actually would challenge, of course, if you're joining us in this live, you know. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you. WrestleMania 6, the ultimate challenge, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. One of the first real big blockbuster matchups, babyface versus babyface, a potential passing of the torch matchup here between the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. It was one of those matches that you had to see. Was it a classic, in-ring classic? Hey, that's up for you to decide. But it was a moment in time to see the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan do battle for sure. What do I like about Logan Paul versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania? I think it should be a good match. I see a lot of people who are kind of, down on the idea that AJ is going to be fighting Logan Paul. I think Logan Paul has proven he can have a solid outing. And for someone like AJ Styles, it should be a walk in the park because AJ Styles truly is that phenomenal. I'm looking forward to the matchup. I think you could argue that AJ deserves something a little bit more on the higher tier of it. But I do think it should be a good matchup. I expect it to deliver, truthfully. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Johnny. Sammy, I've been missing the live streams, but you're here now, Sammy. That's all that matters to me, buddy. Whatever you got going on in your life, we respect it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're not going to be able to join up every now and then, but the fact is, you're here with us now, and that's what means the most to me, my friend. Love the matchup. It really was a solid matchup. If you're looking for that Matt Classic purist style, you're not going to get that there. But you do get a Clash of the Titan type of a matchup between the Warrior and Hogan. And it's an all-time classic, I do believe. Storytime with Jose and Linus, my friend. Dion, welcome to the live stream. Appreciate you, buddy, for stopping by here. We're talking the Ultimate Warrior. Got my Ultimate Warrior t-shirt on, and we're talking about the controversial career of the Warrior. Where we last left off was WrestleMania 6. He defeats Hulk Hogan and is now the winner of the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. What's going to happen to John Cena? He got crossroads. John Cena's going to be taking some time away here from the WWE. Apparently, he's not scheduled for any episodes of Monday Night Raw until WrestleMania. I'm thinking, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm more than okay with that. John Cena will not appear because he got a little bit booty tickled. He got his feelings hurt because Cody hit that crossroads on him. We won't see Cena, at least in a live capacity, until we get to WrestleMania. Now they could pull, an old Rock type of a move here and have him appear via satellite. That could certainly be a possibility. But in terms of being in live crowd, we might not see John Cena until WrestleMania 41. We're talking about Ricky Starks winning the championship. Great question here by Johnny, and that's what I love about these live streams because it gives me the opportunity to share the stories of pro wrestling like the Ultimate Warrior, but also be able to blend in the current product. Ricky Saints, obviously we know him as Ricky Starks, but Ricky Saints, now in NXT, recently defeated Shawn Spears for the North American title. I think it's the right move. I kind of feel bad for Shawn Spears because he was a transitional champion, essentially, being the buffer between Tony D'Angelo and Ricky Saints. But I do like that they capitalized on Ricky winning that championship and highlighting him as that next star in the I don't want to say developmental brand, but the next star on the brand. He's going to be the North American champion. I can see him having a long and fruitful championship reign, and maybe along the line, put his name in the hat of the NXT championship division, the main title, really. I like the move. I'm looking forward to it. And it looks like he and Ethan Page are going to be the next story for that title if Sean Spears doesn't have a rematch opportunity. I'm a fan of it, though. Thank you, Johnny. Did you hear about Rusev signing with the WWE? I did, yeah. So Rusev, I mean, it's no secret, too. I mean, Rusev, Malachi Black, the recent departures from AEW, they're making their way to WWE. I think it's the right call for them. It's Malachi Black, I can't wait. Rusev, I'm interested. Is it going to be Rusev? Are they going to use his name Miro? I'm thinking they're going to go Rusev because they own that IP, intellectual property. But to see where he fits on the roster, because SmackDown right now is pretty loaded, and they're kind of struggling to find balance on the SmackDown brand. Raw, I think, is in a really good place right now with his division. So maybe we see him on Monday nights. I like the pickup, though. I'm looking forward to it. Dion says they said that the Ultimate Warrior wasn't liked by the locker room. Why was that, or did he leave a lot of demons he was facing? Or did he have a lot of... Great point here. Great point here, Dion. And it really... a beautiful segue. It brings us right back to the Ultimate Warrior. We last left off at WrestleMania 6. Warrior gets the win against Hulk Hogan, is the double champion. Shout out to Stephanie Vaquer. He relinquishes the Intercontinental Championship so that he can focus on the WWE title, where he has successful title defenses against the likes of Haku. He has Mr. Perfect, Ted DiBiase as well, and eventually would lose the title to Sergeant Slaughter, a recently turned heel Sergeant Slaughter, at the following Royal Rumble event in 1991. Following that, he would have the feud with Randy Savage. I already talked about that WrestleMania 7 matchup, my favorite Ultimate Warrior matchup of all time. And from there, he would have a feud with The Undertaker, and Jake Roberts would be the next one. Now, this is in the summer of 1991. That Jake Roberts feud never really got to pick up steam here, because on the lead up to the SummerSlam event in 1991, a year and a half removed from his WWE title win at WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Warrior has a letter sent to Vince McMahon. And in that letter, it's sent, and he's basically demanding, I do want to point this out because I have it written down. It was July 10th of 1991, again, the build-up to the SummerSlam event. And the Ultimate Warrior sends a letter wanting $550,000 for his WrestleMania 7 match, as well as a certain guaranteed days in his contract, travel accommodations, and even a higher percentage in terms of his merchandise. He says that he believed he, quote, meant as much or more than Hulk Hogan. The letter also ended with, quote, whatever your decision is, I can and will live with it. But until then, I will remain home with one who cares. So the Ultimate Warrior now has amassed this level of superstardom to the point where he's making these demands of $550,000, a guaranteed day schedule, as well as higher increase of his merchandise and travel accommodations. Dion talks about it here and in his previous chat here. Thank you, by the way, for the shirt. Shout out to my family, by the way, for the gift. There was a little bit of dissension here in the locker room because he was difficult to work with. It is said that the Ultimate Warrior kind of bought his own hype. He believed his own hype. And that's a very interesting line to ride on, especially in this business. He wanted to have these demands being met. And I do want to get to that, but I want us to all catch up here on these chat here. Let's see. Johnny says we're going to see Ray Phoenix tomorrow. Yes, Ray Phoenix will be debuting. Looking forward to it. What do you like about Jimmy Uso on Monday Night Raw and Jay? So, okay. Let's take a break. Let's put a pin in it, right? Let's call a little timeout on the Ultimate Warrior. Let's get back to the chat here. I'd like to integrate a little bit here. The Jimmy and Jay Uso segment with Gunther on Monday Night Raw, I think is exactly what the doctor ordered. That Jay Uso to Gunther feud kind of losing a little bit of steam here. There were some people out there who thought the build wasn't going well and the matchup was going to be an afterthought. We know that neither of them are going to be main eventing WrestleMania. But having Jimmy take the fall here and get absolutely decimated by the ring general will light a fire under Jey Uso. And we're probably going to see a little bit of a pause here in terms of the yeet by Jey Uso. I think we're going to be seeing a more serious, a more vicious, and a more focused Jey Uso as he looks to defeat Gunther for that world title. I love when a baby faces are able to put aside the humor. You can have humor every now and then. I get it. I like to laugh too. But when you're able to get serious and lock in, there is nothing more thrilling than seeing a baby face who was locked in. So to see Jey Uso and that emotion that was evoked from the attack to his twin brother, Jimmy Uso, you know that Jey Uso is coming out for blood. Maybe he attacks Ludwig Kaiser just to get a little bit of a payback there. Don't know if it means the same, obviously, but Kaiser has a long relationship with Gunther. They've been longtime friends. Maybe there's something there. But I'm a big fan of that segment. And I think it's exactly the type of jolt of electricity that the Gunther versus Jey Uso match really needed. Sammy in the chat says, I've never really saw Ultimate Warrior matches. I've just seen highlights. I'm going to keep it a buck with you, Sammy. If you've seen the highlights, you basically seen the matches. His matches were never really marathons where it was like longer than 10 minutes. He was always a powerhouse. You've seen the greatest hits. You've seen most of the matches. I'm going to confess there. Like the Ultimate Warrior, but let's call it like I see it, right? Was it true he didn't want to relinquish the titles? I've seen stories that, yeah, he didn't want to drop the title, that he didn't believe that he should have lost the championship, and that he wasn't ready to end those reigns. And I mean, that's just not our call, right? If you're like I'm a pro wrestler, but that's not their call. You're there to do a job, you're there to do the best of your ability, and if they deem it necessary to give you a championship, then so be it. And then when the time is to put over someone else, it's time to put over that other person. What I like about Naomi on Monday Night Raw, Naomi's on SmackDown having a great storyline with Bianca Belair. I like the feud that we have here and that turn. We did allude to this question on a previous live stream. But yeah, I'm a fan of the new look for Naomi. Dion says, good pop for the fuel. Not going to lie, it was needed. Also shows Gunther's relentlessness as world champion. Good to see for both, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more, Dion. Solid point there. No notes. Rhea Ripley, I called it. I said that there wasn't going to be really a conclusive end to the matchup between Io and Rhea Ripley. We knew Bianca was going to be the special guest referee and kind of interject herself. She called a double DQ. This is how they're going to get her back in the matchup. She was kind of screwed out of this opportunity by Bianca. They're going to implement her into this triple threat matchup. I really have nothing else to say because I called it, move for move, bar for bar. You might even say I know what I'm talking about, but hey, that's for you guys to say, not for me. The Ultimate Warrior. Great questions and great comments there. Actually, let's hit this. Do you think the Ultimate Warrior is perfectly rated, underrated, or overrated? I would say perfectly rated. I don't think he's overrated because I do think his influence in the business and just in that time, the Ultimate Warrior was super over. Underrated, I wouldn't say because in terms of in-ring work, he wasn't really everybody's cup of tea. It's not someone that we see a lot of people emulate nowadays. I think he's properly rated, for my personal opinion there. Thank you, Dion. So we talk about that letter, and it was sent July 10th, 1991 on the lead up to the SummerSlam event. 3 days later, July 13th, the WWE responds with a letter of their own. They agree to the terms of the $550,000. They also increase a higher royalty, and they promised that no one else on the active roster would be paid more than the Ultimate Warrior. Vince McMahon himself even added at the end of the letter that, quote, I would like to express my deepest appreciation and admiration for you as a performer, as a member of the WWE family, as a man, and as my family. Vince McMahon going out of his way to welcome the Ultimate Warrior with these new accommodations, as well as trying to maybe, feed the ego of the Ultimate Warrior gain a little bit of favor with one of his stars who essentially threatened to sit out. He said, quote, "Whatever your decision, I can and I will live with it. Till then, I remain home with ones who care." Basically insinuates, hey, I'm going to hold out. I'm going to sit at home, if anything. Do you think The Rock will show up on TV before WrestleMania and at WrestleMania? I think he will show up at WrestleMania. And correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw somewhere that he's actually going to be on SmackDown tomorrow. Maybe I read something wrong. I was, in the middle of my, break during shift, saw it on the screen. I would not be surprised. I do think The Rock appears at some point. Warrior needed more money. Steroids ain't cheap. Oscar, hey man, you said it, not me, buddy, but I'm not going to argue. So they have the letter, and Vince McMahon agrees to those terms, the $550,000, the increase in royalty, and guaranteeing that no one else was going to be paid more than the Warrior. So at SummerSlam, it's 1991. He competes at SummerSlam, and in this matchup here, it's the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan as they team up versus Sergeant Slaughter and his other partners. It was like Colonel Mustafa and General Adnan, right? It was a 3-on-2 handicap match, and there's a spot in the match where the Ultimate Warrior chases off someone to the back and they have their little brawl. And it is at that moment in the back that they let the Warrior know that essentially he's done with the WWE. We heard about these rumors and speculations that, hey, he might hold out. So people like Sergeant Slaughter, and Hulk Hogan were threatening to fight for Vince McMahon. They were willing to fight the Ultimate Warrior. To the point where I believe it was Iron Sheik, maybe I'm wrong, who threatened to break the legs of Ultimate Warrior, but they didn't want to go that deep into it, right? We didn't know for sure. They essentially give him his walking papers. It said that he's suspended, but the Warrior says, no, I'm not suspended. He's basically leaving the WWE. Vince McMahon even says basically that he agreed to the terms just to get the Warrior at SummerSlam because people, the fans, paid money to see the Ultimate Warrior compete at SummerSlam, and damn it, they were going to see it. So he basically agrees to the terms only as a means to get him on the show. Have you heard about this before? Because it's like Montreal, just getting to the show. And then once mission's completed, basically a screw job. So I mentioned about that Jake Roberts feud. Shout out to San Fran 5 there, Sheiky. The Jake Roberts feud never picks up, and Jake Roberts has a little bit of resentment towards the Ultimate Warrior because it costs him money, basically, because that's a big money feud there. Ultimate Warrior and Jake Roberts, big money is going to be made there. But because of his antics and because of his demands, Jake Roberts basically holds him accountable for Roberts not making that payday. The Warrior resigns in 1991 following this suspension, and then the WWE basically refuses this. They don't allow him to walk. Instead, they let the contract end in 1992. If you remember that in 1992, the Ultimate Warrior makes a quick appearance at the end of WrestleMania 8, saving Hulk Hogan during his little beatdown by Papa Shango. And fun fact enough, that was also when the Ultimate Warrior came back and he was kind of leaned down, had a different hairstyle, and the steroid trials were starting to get a little bit of notoriety in the news. So it was him kind of leaning down, and people thought this is a different Ultimate Warrior. That the older Ultimate Warrior was dead, and this was somebody else. Leading to one of the biggest, conspiracy theories for pro wrestling, in that there were more than one warrior. I'm here to debunk that. It was always Jim Hellwig. If you really look closely, eagle eye viewers will know it's always been the one guy. But still, I digress. Dion here in the chat says, good call on Thursday topics. Really awesome for the channel, as well as good content and also informative coming from someone who doesn't know anything about the new era or anything before that. I appreciate it, Dion. A lot of people have seemed to, enjoy these Thursday streams as like a way to, I don't want to say a lecture, but it's like a good little history lesson, diving back and peeling the curtain and seeing what the business is like, the business that you and I and others here on the stream have grown to become so passionate about. So I love the fact that people are interested in these topics and will continue to do so moving forward, so long as people are interested. So appreciate it, buddy. Johnny says, what have you been up to today? I worked all morning, had my shift end about 3 o'clock, got some prep time in here for the stream. So a busy morning. I really spent that time after work hanging around with the family, watching some TV. Again, a little bit of prep time here for the live stream, but pretty long day, work from 6 to 2:30. Nothing crazy, right? But Johnny says, I don't think Kurt Angle is coming back. I don't think so either. Kevin, what's going on? Kevin in the chat. Kevin says Warrior's ego was his downfall. But to be fair, every wrestler has an ego. Kevin, you're on the money here. I think especially when you're in this type of a business, you kind of have to have an ego, right? You have to have this kind of sense of confidence and believing in yourself. And there's a fine line to ride between being confident and being cocky. So you got me there, Kevin. Right on. Good evening to Gianna Forever. I remember gaming my Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we've all been there, but shout out to Forever. Yo, Jose, I had a midterm today and I most definitely failed. Come on. Don't say that. Happy to be here and get my mind off of school. Happy to be of service to you, buddy. Hey, come on. Have a little bit of confidence in yourself, buddy. Maybe I'm sure you didn't fail completely. Come on. Did the Ultimate Warrior have friends? Johnny, that's a great question. You wouldn't think so. Based off of some of these documentaries, if you look at the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD that was released like in 2005, they put out a hit piece on the Ultimate Warrior. Everyone was describing him as difficult to work with, self-centered, selfish, egotistical. It was basically a hit piece. I don't know who would be his close friends. He made amends with people like Hogan and McMahon towards the end of his life. So, spoiler alert for people who don't know. So I don't know who would be considered his real close friends. That's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm the answer or I'm the person to give you that answer. I could give you some examples of maybe this person, but hey, hopefully. Sammy says a lot of wrestlers in the 90s had big egos. You're right. I mean, look no further. Guys like Hogan, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels even had a big ego as well. Very popular. WCW Mount Rushmore. Oh, Kevin, that's a good one. So I'm going to go right off the top of my head. Sting, Goldberg, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. That's my Mount Rushmore off the top of my head. Great question. Who are the biggest team players for the WWE roster? My pick is The Rock because he lost the title to Kurt and Brock, putting over young talent. Rock's a good one. Other team members, I would like to think The Undertaker. I mean, this is a guy who The Undertaker and Mankind immediately come to mind. I say The Undertaker because here was a guy that was put in feuds with the Great Khali, Giant Gonzalez. There was so many people that were put in feuds with The Undertaker because it was The Undertaker. It was a marquee matchup. And he wasn't really liking some of these feuds. I mean, it's well, documented how he wasn't a fan of working with Giant Gonzalez, but he was always that company guy. Worked when he was hurt, worked when he was sick. The top of the card, the bottom of the card. I think The Undertaker is all time one of the best team players for the WWE. Dion says, didn't watch WCW ever, but I'm guessing Sting is on everybody's right. I mean, Sting is the franchise. He's the icon. For me, he is the face of WCW. The way, for me, he's the face of WCW. AJ Styles is for TNA. For WWE, I mean, it really could be anybody. Stone Cold, Hogan, John Cena. There's a complete list of people that could be for the WWE. But yes, I would put Sting as the face of WCW. Biggest team players, Kurt. That's a great one too. Kurt Angle, who wasn't afraid to, laugh at himself. He had a sense of humor, but he was also a badass who can go in the ring. So Kurt Angle's a great answer as well. What did you like about Jon Moxley this Wednesday? So the mixed tag match, the tornado tag match between Moxley, Marina Shafir versus Swerve and Willow, I enjoyed. I know there's some people out there who aren't really fans of the Death Riders, and there's good reason. But for the matchup itself, I thought it was a nice blend of mixed match, intergender wrestling. I like that we saw Jon Moxley get over on Willow Nightingale, and they're really putting over the neck injury that she had, and it gave Swerve Strickland more of a reason to go after John Moxley. Didn't realize he was such good friends with Willow Nightingale, but still, it adds another layer to the story. Kevin says, I was 7 years old when the Great Khali was presented as a destroyer, but WWE had the presentation and marketing right, but Khali just wasn't that good. And then they changed him into the Punjabi Playboy, where he was kissing random people, and it just became a little bit of a laughing stock. Him as a heel, him as a monster heel, cool. Loved it. But he was very limited. Couldn't talk, could barely move. Let's be real. He could barely move in the ring, and it surprises me that they gave him that world championship when they did in 2007. But still, he's a Hall of Famer too. Keep that in mind, Kevin. Speaking of Hall of Famers, the Ultimate Warrior was gone from 1992. After that, he would be gone until WrestleMania 12, where he returned and fought Triple H. He would fight with Triple H at WrestleMania 12 in a squash matchup, and following that, had a feud in 96 with Goldust. And at In Your House, 1996, it was in July of 1996, he was scheduled to compete at the event, but was actually fired for missing house shows and for taking time off due to his father's passing. Now I know what you're thinking. His father passed away. It's a very sensitive time to grieve. The reason he was fired is because Vince McMahon claims, remember, Vince McMahon claims that Warrior had not seen his father in 10 years and he did not care for him. The Warrior, well, McMahon believed that this was an excuse by the Warrior, so they decided to cut ties. The Ultimate Warrior disputes this and says that he wasn't getting his percentage of the merch that he was promised. So again, another return, another departure. Warrior leaves for WCW. Ironically enough, we've been talking about it. It's a great conversation here by everybody in the chat. He leaves for WCW, and he feuds with the New World Order leader, Hulk Hogan, and the Warrior kind of leads this new wave of resistance called One Warrior Nation to feud with the NWO. The debut promo for the Ultimate Warrior, well, you already know his promo style, but in WCW, it lasted for 27 minutes. That is 20 minutes over the allotted time that he was supposed to speak, according to Eric Bischoff. He would only have 3 matches in WCW, the first being War Games at the Fall Brawl pay-per-view, the second being a tag team matchup on an episode of Nitro as Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart faced off against Ultimate Warrior and Sting, reuniting the Blade Runners as we spoke about them earlier. And his third and final matchup in WCW World Championship Wrestling would be the infamous Halloween Havoc matchup between the Warrior and Hulk Hogan, which is considered to be one of the worst matches of all time. You would know this as the matchup where the fireball was spewed out. It was supposed to be Hulk Hogan throwing a fireball at Ultimate Warrior, but it's kind of like a rip away paper and it blazes in Hulk Hogan's face. It was not really that good of a matchup. Johnny says, who's going to win at Dynasty, Adam Cole or Danny Garcia? Ooh, that's a good one, man. I'm going to go Adam Cole. I think they're going to take the title off of Danny. Trick Williams got a fight next week. Well, Trick Williams, too. I mean, in a triple threat match between him, Javon Evans, and Obafemi, that should be a solid matchup, a stand and deliver. But on next week's episode of NXT TV, we're going to see the team of Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans against 3 members of Dark State. I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. We're probably going to see, Trick and the team take an L here just because I don't think you want to have Dark State presented as such an inferior competition. But yes, that'll be on NXT next Tuesday. Are we talking about McFingerbangs or Buckaroos? Also, what are these guys doing now? We're talking about the Ultimate Warrior and the controversial career of the Ultimate Warrior. As for them, I mean McFingerbangs, Kenny Omega's the current reigning and defending international champion. As for the Bucks, last time I heard, they were still the IWGP Tag Team Champions. Haven't been seen on AEW TV in literal months. Don't know when we're going to be seeing them next, so we'll see how that goes. Halloween Havoc, as I said, was believed to be one of the worst matches of all time. It was the matchup between Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, and many believed that this run was really just an opportunity to have Hulk Hogan go over the Ultimate Warrior, who had gotten the win at WrestleMania 6, basically repaying the favor and getting a little bit of payback on his nemesis, if you will. The Ultimate Warrior would retire in 1998, and then on, his career kind of begins to spiral. The Ultimate Warrior has been a part of some controversial moments in his life. We talked about the death of the Warrior, which was the common conspiracy theory that in 1992 a new version of the Ultimate Warrior came out because Jim Hellwig had passed away. It's debunked. It was always Jim Hellwig. In 1993, Jim Hellwig would legally change his name to Warrior as a way to maintain the rights of the character in being able to be billed as the Ultimate Warrior. He would also have that documentary released in 2005, The Self Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, where, again, it was like a hit piece. These guys held nothing back against the Ultimate Warrior. He had a short stint as a public speaker, which was very controversial, as he would make some remarks that are basically homophobic, and he was having these type of stances and rants that would not fly, certainly nowadays, but would not fly back then either. It was just a whirlwind for the Ultimate Warrior. He seemingly could not get it right. But towards the end of his life, he would begin to make peace with a lot of people that he would feud with. McMahon, Hulk Hogan. He made peace with the industry and recognized that his time was limited. And in 2014, it was announced that he would be a part of the Hall of Fame class of 2014 for WrestleMania 30. He would be inducted by Linda McMahon, and he made amends with everybody. And he had this moment following WrestleMania 30. It was the Monday Night Raw after. And he had the eerie, the iconic, and well known speech of the Warrior. And I have it written down, the final, words that he would say in that promo. But in that promo was him making peace with the past and also embracing his future legacy in the WWE. But the Ultimate Warrior's final piece during that promo, and basically the last words we would hear him say on TV, quote, "Every man's heart one day beats its final beat. His lungs breathe a final breath, and if what that man did in his life makes the blood pulse through the body of others and makes them bleed deeper and something larger than life, then his essence, his spirit, will be immortalized." The Ultimate Warrior would pass away the very next day. And it has been said that he basically provided his eulogy with that speech on Monday Night Raw. He would pass away April 7th, 2014, due to a heart attack. We're reaching, what is it now, 9 years since the Ultimate Warrior was last part of this world. And I think it's important that although his career was very controversial, his contributions to the business should not go unnoticed. And there's one thing that I like to discuss about here on these live streams whenever we are dealing with someone that was controversial or who is no longer with us. It is important to recognize that they too were a contributor to the business, to the source of entertainment that you and I have grown to love. The Ultimate Warrior, although may have been a controversial figure, he was still a very big part of the early years of WrestleMania and getting pro wrestling on the map with such a larger than life personality, a larger than life presentation. The Ultimate Warrior goes down as one of the influential beings of the golden era. Let's go back to the chat here. Sonny says or asks, Ultimate Warrior Randy Savage, and yeah, everyone knows Hogan was going over. Everyone knew. I mean, it was Hogan, right? If it wasn't Hogan, it wasn't working for him, brother. To answer your question, I'm a Randy Savage guy through and through. Randy and Roddy Piper, those are my guys from the 80s for sure. Ethan Page was on TNA today. I got to catch it, Johnny. I usually catch the highlights of TNA, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Ethan Page had a stint there as well as a part of Impact, and as well as with their relationship with NXT and TNA, I do not doubt it at all. I'll have to catch up on that for sure, though. Thank you for the heads up. Sunny says, and when will Joe Hendry leave TNA and become permanent for WWE? I would like to think whenever that contract ends. Once that contract ends, he basically has an in to the WWE. He's already worked there. He's appeared on NXT TV. He appeared at, what was it, No Mercy when they were in Denver, Colorado. He competed in the Royal Rumble matchup. I think for sure he is WWE bound. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. It's a great question there. Johnny says, do you think we're going to see Penta versus Dominic at WrestleMania? I do not. I think it's going to be some kind of a multi-person matchup, probably Braun Breaker, Penta, Dominic and Finn Balor all in a fatal four-way. That is what I'm thinking. Maybe we add some other people and maybe make it a ladder match. Who knows? But I do not think it'll be Penta versus Dominic one-on-one at WrestleMania. Sonny says, can you tell me about the reason WWE refused to acknowledge Owen Hart and how the hell a company like AEW have an Owen Cup where the WWE not given the same recognition? There was a lawsuit. So following Owen Hart, which is another topic we could discuss on a future Thursday stream, Owen Hart's obvious tragedy occurred in the WWE ring, and Martha Hart, the widow of Owen Hart, sued the company and basically put it in, legal terms, that they could not make money off of his name, that they could not profit off of the legacy of Owen Hart, which is why he's never been in the Hall of Fame. He probably won't go in unless she gives her blessing. Why we rarely get any reference to Owen Hart, why we never get anything regarding Owen Hart, is because she has went out of her way, sued the company, and will take legal action if they try to profit off of her husband's name and his career. As for AEW being the ones that have an Owen Hart Cup, she gave the okay. It's for the Owen Hart Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization that Martha Hart runs, and I guess they treat her well. And I mean, he never competed for that company, and he certainly did not pass away during the AEW because he didn't work there. But it's really her call as to when and if the WWE will ever really be able to acknowledge it. Did he commit suicide? That sounds eerie. Not confirmed. I mean, they say it was due to a heart attack. They say it was due to a heart attack. And it's also, when you are a consumer of substances, and I'm pretty sure he did take anabolic steroids of some sort, it does play a factor in your heart health. So it was deemed a heart attack. Don't suggest any type of foul play or any kind of self-harm in that regard. But a decent question there by Dion. Do you think FTR and Edge win a dynasty? I don't. I don't think so. I think Dax, Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, there's a little bit of tension there between them. I don't see them pulling it off. I think that the Death Riders successfully retain. Are you going to watch the Hall of Fame? I will be. Of course, absolutely. Triple H is going in the Hall of Fame. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching the Hall of Fame. Am I going to watch WrestleMania 41? Johnny, come on. Come on, Bucky. Come on. Am I going to watch WrestleMania? Come on. Is the sun going to come up tomorrow? Absolutely. Is it true Bret Hart was angry at Martha? Because I saw some clips. Your guess is as good as mine, Sonny. I mean, that family, we don't know the dynamic behind the scenes. Don't know the relationship between Martha and Bret Hart. Um, I would understand it. I mean, Bret Hart's been very critical of AEW as of late. In terms of the legacy of Owen Hart, though, I don't think you can get too mad about that because we want to honor Owen Hart. We want to be able to celebrate the life and the career of him. And whether it's WWE or not, it should be celebrated. It's his call to be upset, but I think it's also her call to decide who gets to utilize the legacy of her husband. I don't see anybody being at fault. You Are Cozy says, do you think the screw job was an inside job? Like, do you think Brett was in on it? I don't. I know it's a very popular conspiracy theory, and there are some notes in there that you could argue, make it a legitimate claim. I don't think so. I think it was what it was. They screwed him out of the matchup, moved him on to WCW. I don't think it was a screw job, though. The Ultimate Warrior career was fairly short, too, I believe. I think it's because it was just so short at the top. He joined the WWE like in 88, but was really a main star from like 89 to like 91 because he made that one-off appearance at 92, the one short run in 96. So yeah, because if you look at it in totality, 86 to 98, that's a 12-year career, but there were so many gaps in between. It did seem a little bit short. You're not wrong in that regard. Johnny says, I think we might see Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania to help Roman Reigns or CM Punk wins. I'm gonna disagree, Johnny. I don't think we're gonna see Brock Lesnar. I think in terms of the narrative, I don't think it's there. I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen if you were to do that. The story isn't with Brock Lesnar. It's between Punk Roman and Paul Heyman. I do not think we'll be seeing Brock Lesnar for the foreseeable future. I really don't. Maybe he has another show up, but not for this one. I think it's too much going on. Short but memorable, and one of the few people to know. Yeah, the no sell of the pedigree. Yeah, the pedigree. Back in '96, WrestleMania 12, absolutely no sold it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he still had his gear, like the whole, the coat and everything. Oh my God, yeah, I remember that very well. Insert Hunter, WTF face. Yeah. Do you think John Cena will ruin wrestling for everybody, like he said? I mean, you could argue for a generation of fans he already did. Do I think he wins the WWE title? He could. He could. I'm saying Cody, but I don't know. I'm 50-50. You'll have to wait till I release my prediction video. That'll be the week before WrestleMania. Did you hear about that guy, Val Kilmer? Yes, Val Kilmer passed away yesterday. Rest in peace to Val Kilmer, who was the star of Batman Forever. He was also the star of Tombstone, a great movie, and Heat. I mean, Top Gun. How could I forget Top Gun? Rest in peace to Val Kilmer. My dream match is the Ultimate Warrior versus Renegade in a bicep band on a pole matchup. I would watch it. The Ultimate Warrior. Cena cooked him. I'm Team Cena. You know what I loved about that promo between Cena and Cody is there was a moment there where Cody tried to, cook himself. He essentially said, what are you going to say about me? I have a lisp that, I'm protected and stuff like that. He tried to beat him to the punch, and Cena still managed to cook him. And the fans turned on Cody there for a second. You could hear a little bit of boos to Cody. You can hear a bit more cheers for Cena. But then Cody, towards the end of the promo, was able to get them back. He lost them for a second, but he got him back. It was one of the best promos I've seen in a long time. Cena and Cody, two of the very best right now, an all-time performance. I had to go watch it. I might watch it again after this stream. A great showing by two of the best right now. Great segment. Rest in peace, Batman Forever. Amen, Sammy. Amen, buddy. Cena been cooking him for 3 weeks still. Didn't address the elephant in the room, though, which is the Rock and Cena connection. I'm with you. I want to see more of that. I don't know about Cena cooking him 3 weeks in a row because he really didn't get to talk a lot. I guess, at least against Cody. He was cooking the fans. But he was cooking Cody in this one. I do want to see more about the Cena and Rock relationship, though. 100%. That's something that we still want to see. So I'm with you. Do you think Jacob is going to turn on Solo? Absolutely. I think Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are going to align themselves with Jacob, form their own group. Solo is literally going to go solo, or maybe he gets help from other people like Lance and Hawaii, Hikuleo. I think he sides more with the Gorillas of Destiny, but we'll have to wait and see. Salvi, hey, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for joining. What are your thoughts on wrestlers like Cody, Punk, Sean Spears, Ethan Page, Ricky, Saints, Malachi Black, and Miro leaving AEW? Appreciate the hearts in the chat. Thank you so much for that. I'm a fan of it. When there's movement in the business like that, it allows more of a fresh take on pro wrestling. It's very similar to like free agency in the NBA or in the NFL when there's new players being available and they move to other teams. It freshens up the competition and it allows for a different perspective on the sport, if you will. Having them move over to the WWE is fascinating because look at the early stages of AEW where we had a lot of ex-WWE guys. Jericho, Moxley, Cody, Ty Dillinger, Rusev, all these guys, and I know I'm missing more people, Goldust, aka Dustin Rhodes, jumping over. And now we've hit the point where they're moving back. I look at the way like the Monday Night Wars. Because guys like Lex Luger, The Outsiders, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, they all jumped over to the WCW in the early years, and then towards the tail end, we saw a shift of Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho. Everyone started jumping over to the WWE. It's a shift in balance, but it's also important to recognize why it is important to have competition and have options. As a wrestling fan, I love it. I get more wrestling. I get to enjoy different versions of it. As a wrestler, they have more job opportunities. I think it's fantastic for the state of the business. But I am curious to see how it's going to work. Because you look at the names you just listed, Cody and Punk, top tier. Those are your top guys. Main event players will main event WrestleMania. Sean Spears, middle of the road mid card talent. He's not going to win the world title. He's not going to be an enhancement talent. He's a good mid card act. Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, very high on. I think they're going to do just fine in the WWE. Meanwhile, you have Malachi and Miro coming back. Already a sense of familiarity, already have a connection with the audience. I think they're going to fit in seamlessly, just like Andrade did. Hopefully, they have something in place for them, and we're not just leaving them in limbo. Great question there by Salvi. Cody can't stand against Cena in a promo. Only Rock, Stone Cold, or Punk can go toe to toe. I agree. Only they can go toe to toe, but I did think he held his own. I think he was fine. Could he have been overwhelmed for a bit? Yes, but I think he regained his footing, and I think Cody can hold his own. Now, I'm not going to say he's on the same level, but I thought he held his own. I thought he did a fine job. Cena does body everybody on the mic, then follows up with the "You can't wrestle." LOL, gotta love that. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that he was talking about Cody and all that, and Cody says, "Say what you want about me," but at least the fans never chanted, "You can't wrestle at me." Bar, absolute bar. Loved it, loved it. It was great. Give me more, please, pretty please. Sonny says, "Who is the face or ace of AEW?" I mean, right now, it's tough not to say Will Ospreay. They're really putting him on that trajectory. I think he's gonna win the title at All In. I really do. In terms of the face, I mean, you could have argued a guy like Darby, but I don't think so yet. Hangman, I think, is the main character. But if we're saying the ace, Will Ospreay, Hangman, if you were to say someone like that, I think Swerve has earned the recognition there. Any one of those three, I would say personally. Why does John Cena heel turn feel so little when it should be bigger? I think it's because we haven't gotten as much explanation. He's been able to spew off some venom towards the fans and had a great moment there with Cody, but we haven't seen him wrestle as a heel just yet. Still the early points of it though. That moment at Elimination Chamber was huge. And I think what will follow will either help ignite more of a flame into it or cool it down. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm with you. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Who do you think is going to win at Dynasty? Wait for my predictions. I'll have a prediction video tomorrow. I mean, with all due respect, Stone Cold wasn't a technical master. Rather, watch Regal, okay, for pure wrestling, then Stone Cold, but only wrestling prowess. And you're not wrong, and that's why everyone has a different taste in pro wrestling. And you're absolutely valid in that. But I didn't know Cena was fighting skin cancer. He beat it. Yeah, recently. I just found that out as well. Thank God, though. But that's even more reason to root for the guy. Hate him or love him. Yeah, no, for sure. John Cena is one of the greatest of all time. Cody held his own for sure. I think so. I think he held his own because he could have gotten decimated by Cena, but I thought he held his own. Salvi, The Rock had his promo written on his arm against Cena, so anyone can against Cena on the mic. If you, dude, when that happened and it was discovered that he had it on his forearm, Cena cooked him with that. And The Rock had been gone from the business for so long. Like I know he felt the type of way. I know for a fact he felt the type of way. Do you think Darby Allin's coming back? Yeah, he'll come back. Don't know when, but he has to come back. I thought he was going to be the one to beat Moxley for the title. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be Will Ospreay. WrestleMania build looks starting. What WrestleMania build? Loading starting Friday. I feel like this is going to be some of their best work leading up to the big matches. I'm with you. I really think these last couple of weeks have improved between the Cena and Cody stuff. I love what I saw with Jay and Gunther recently. The women's triple threat is picking up as well. Waiting for Tiffany and Charlotte to kind of pick up steam as well. But I do agree with you. I think these next couple weeks, we're going to see it kick it up a notch here. This is where we're going to see them, turn on the proverbial NOS if you watch Fast and Furious. And we're going to see a little bit more roar in the engine, if you will. What do you like about Brody King? For a man of his size, he can move like a tank or move like a Ferrari. Shout out to Husky Harris. Brody King, I love the look too. Big fan of tattoos. Big fan of a monster like Brody King. Love it. I like the whole House of Black gimmick too. Sonny says he is the peacemaker. He made peace with cancer, but feel happy for him. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that we weren't aware of it. Of course, it's his life. It's his personal life. He can choose what kind of information he's going to share with everybody. But I'm just happy we're getting this last run with him. And to see him against Cody for the title, it's going to be good. Should be real good. But yeah. So I will be releasing a short video on my predictions for AEW Dynasty. So be sure to check that out. We'll have that up by tomorrow. Then our next live stream will be Sunday, another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. We'll talk about what happened on Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Dynasty as well. So we have that to look forward to on Sunday. Monday, we're going to have a video up. It's going to be a tier ranking of the main events of WrestleMania from WrestleMania 1 all the way to WrestleMania 40. Be on the lookout for that video on Monday. And then next Thursday will be our another live stream, and we'll see what topic we have in store for them. Cena didn't have to sell that Cody cutter like that, though. LOL, you would have thought he got hit by a car on San Andreas. But that's what I'm talking about. Cena recognizes that, hey, I'm going to put over this next talent. And if it's good for the business, it's good for the business. NXT low-key is more exciting than both shows, maybe even high-key. I need to tune in more. You know what I think it is, too? It's the pacing. SmackDown at 3 hours is ridiculous. I think they need to go back to 2. I love wrestling, but it's like, Jesus, 3 hours on a Friday night when most of it can be filler, not a good look. That needs to go to 2 hours. Pacing. NXT knows how to pace their matches and their stories and have it intertwine with one another. I agree with you. NXT has been on a roll as of late. I do think for me personally, though, Monday Night Raw is the best show of the 3. I think it goes Raw, NXT, and then SmackDown. But NXT, yeah, absolutely. You got to tune in more. Stephanie Vaquer, the NXT Women's Champion's great. They're going to be crowning a new North American champion for the women's division in a ladder match. At Stand and Deliver, you know I'm a fan of ladder matches. Ricky Saints is looking good. Javon, Trick, and Oba Femi looking like an evolution of one another, and the lineup is looking great. Love it. Salvi says tier ranking of WrestleMania main events for a topic. That's going to be a video for Monday. On Monday, I'm going to have it on as a video, Salvi. So I'll be ranking every main event of WrestleMania. That'll come out Monday afternoon. What is the legacy of Bray Wyatt? All I remember is building him up and fumbling him. Yeah. WrestleMania 30, 31, and the match against Goldberg. Don't even get me started with the match against Goldberg. I was so pissed. I was so mad. I don't know why they did that. It was a waste of a time, and they made the Fiend look weak. Personally, you never needed to put the title on the Fiend, but having him lose to Goldberg was a Seth Rollins the Hell in a Cell, terrible. The disrespect was crazy. But that's a good point there, Sonny. We'll leave that as a topic for a stream. I think that'd be a great topic for a Thursday stream. The legacy of Bray Wyatt. I love it. I'm actually, again, gotta get my handy dandy notepad. Absolutely. What did you like about Wednesday Edge? Adam Copeland. I was a big fan of Edge growing up, but as Adam Copeland, I don't know if it's me, but it doesn't feel the same. Of Cope versus Edge, it doesn't feel the same. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I'll always be a fan of his for his work in the WWE and in AEW, but for some reason, it doesn't feel the same. I don't know if you guys share that sentiment, and if you do, please share that in the comments. And if you don't, let me know. What do you guys think about Cope and AEW? Because his match against Claudio was good. I mean, they're great talent. but it doesn't scream, like attention grabber for me. I don't know. My personal taste. Long live Bray, aka Husky Harris, way before his time, literally. I mean, a creative mind in the wrestling business. Between the Bray Wyatt character, whether it was like the swamp, fear, type of character, or not fear, but oh my god, that Robert De Niro character, Cape Fear, that character, or the Fiend, or his latest incarnation of the Bray Wyatt character, man, just ahead of his time, a visionary, and certainly will go in the Hall of Fame. Don't know when, but certainly will go in there. What do you like about Lacey Evans and Ric Flair? Lacey Evans, I really don't. I was never a fan of hers. I, never got it. No disrespect, just not for me. Ric Flair, 16-time champion, one of the greatest of all time. But their partnership on TV, I didn't care. That was during a low point where I was watching more AEW than WWE. I was still watching WWE, but it's just like in 2019, it wasn't the same. Like it wasn't good TV essentially. The less of her I hear, the better. Because people say Bray Wyatt deserves a Hall of Fame, but I like there are people who are genuinely deserving more. If anyone can change my mind, please do. And if Copeland sucks, he's our radar superstar Edge. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Cope. Love Edge better. Your point about Bray Wyatt is great, and I think that's why they didn't put him in the Hall of Fame just yet, because there are other people who should be in there. No disrespect to Bray. He has a spot in there. But I think there's guys like William Regal. Obviously, people in AEW like Christian and Chris Jericho should go in, but they're not able to because they're in a different company. But there are plenty of other guys who should go in the Hall of Fame as well, and you only have a select number of people that can go in. Also, WrestleMania entrances and set designs. My favorite was WrestleMania 33. That'd be a great point. WrestleMania entrances would be tough. I think it wouldn't be a tier ranking, but more of like a personal list. So I could do that. I'll probably do like a top 10 or top 5. I used to do the Friday 5 counts, but those, again, videos weren't really being well received. So we kind of put a pause on those series. But I think, yeah, top 10 of the WrestleMania entrances and designs is a great idea, Salvi Stay is giving me great ideas. I remember the Ric Flair's last match. It was nasty. To me, Ric Flair's last match was in 2008 against Shawn. Anything after should not have happened, but I know what you're talking about. Dion, they said Karrion Kross was supposed to work with Bray, or he was supposed to pick up where Bray left off. I think he would have killed it. Man, him and Bray together would have been cool. That would have been awesome. Or even the Wyatt Six, that incarnation versus his Final Testament would have been cool. But Karrion versus Bray would be a very intriguing matchup. Cena better go in as soon as next year. I don't think, without question. I think without question, whenever he officially retires, which seemingly will be at the end of this year, he has to go in the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 42. Sonny says Shawn Michaels in the zip line and Cena crashing his car. Yeah. CM Punk as John Cena's henchman. Yeah, a lot of great entrances. A lot of great ones, Sonny. And I saw 2 out of 3 of those live. Will we see Shane wrestle again? No, I don't think so. I think Shane's done. He doesn't have to wrestle, and he shouldn't wrestle after that injury he sustained at WrestleMania 39. Will we see him back in a wrestling capacity, like as a, whether it's an on-screen figure or just behind the scenes? Maybe. I think that's always a possibility. But in terms of in-ring work, no, I don't think we should. I really don't think we should. The Golden State Warriors are winning. I just got a notification. You better believe I'm keeping up to date. Dion says, good night, my friend, and we'll chat till next time. All love. All love, Dion. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for stopping by on this live stream. Always value your input and your opinions on these stream, buddy. See you in the next time, and have a good night, have a good day, and we'll see you next time, Dion. Sonny, Johnny, you want Shane to die? No, we don't want that. He is the best in the World Cup winner, so maybe. I still don't think he needs to. Nothing else to prove. Shout out to the hearts in the chat. I hate that we never had a Demon Finn versus Fiend. Oh, man, that would have killed. We did see, the Fiend versus Balor, but we never saw the Demon versus Fiend. I'm sure whenever the next time we see Demon Balor, it's going to be a big deal. I really want to see Finn versus Dominic. I think we're close. I think we're close, man. Don't know when, but it's coming. And who goes over? Dominic would really benefit from that win, but Finn Balor, I just feel like they fumbled Finn. So much potential. Like his stuff in the Bullet Club in New Japan, iconic. NXT run, iconic. And in WWE, it's really been start stop with him. I want more for Finn. I think Finn's an all-time, all-world talent, really. But him versus Dominic would be fun. I would be interested. Who would be the babyface? Would Dom be the babyface in that? Or would Finn? I think Finn would be the babyface. He'd have to turn in babyface. But he gives us very much heelish vibes that I could not see him as the babyface. Did Cody Rhodes have friends? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he started AEW with the Young Bucks, Kenny, Hangman, Cody's friends in real life with guys like Kevin and Sammy, Jey Uso. Yeah, I mean, I would find it very difficult to believe that Cody does. Randy Orton, you know. Speaking of Balor, when will he ever get another shot, man? He got sacrificed for the Universal reign. Not his fault, but still. And that's what I'm talking about. He had a 1 day title reign as the Universal Champion, got injured, and we never saw anything close to that main event run again. And it sucks, really, truthfully. Who becomes the world champ against Finn? Finn. I think probably Kevin. Probably Kevin. I would want it to be Finn, but probably Kevin. Haven't seen the Young Bucks in a while. None of us have. We don't know where they're at. Last time I heard, they were the IWGP Tag Team Champions still, but we haven't seen them. I don't know where they're at. They ran away because of the Death Riders, but still, like, I don't know what the payoff is for that. Are they gonna turn babyface and fight the Death Riders? I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? LeBron and Steph Curry. I mean, Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, and that's me probably being biased because I'm a Golden State Warrior fan. But yeah, he's greatest of all time. The handles, the patience, the leadership. He's everything you want in the face of a franchise. As for LeBron James, he's the second greatest player of all time, second to Michael Jordan, of course. And again, leader, all around talent. These guys are certainly one of the greatest of all time. Fun fact, no one misses them, Jim Cornette. I love Jim Cornette. Like, I listen to his podcast frequently, the Jim Cornette Experience, as well as the Corny Drive Through. I might not agree with a lot of his takes, but he's just too damn entertaining. I find him funny. I know we talked about previous podcasts here on the channel. I'm a fan of Chris Van Vliet, Insight. I listen to Sam Roberts. On occasion, I'll listen to Eric Bischoff's. I love Something to Wrestle With, even though Bruce Pritchard hasn't been on for a minute. Jim Cornette's another one. There's so much wrestling content out there, guys. There's so much wrestling content that I listen to all my podcasts exclusively on 2.0 speed. Everything's double time because there's just so much out there, you know? Comment down in the chat. What are some of your favorite podcasts or channels that you follow for your pro wrestling content? I'm curious to see what you guys like and what you guys are fans of. Comment down in the chat. But also, like I said, we're gonna do a little recap. So we have our stream tonight. We'll have our next stream on Sunday. That's right, Sunday. At the same time, J Area live. We'll be discussing the fallout of Friday Night SmackDown as well as the preview to Monday Night Raw. Maybe a little bit of AEW talk as well. Monday we'll have another upload about the afternoon as a ranking of the WrestleMania main events. And then on Thursday we'll have another live stream discussing another topic. And we'll see what that is. Stay tuned for that possibility. I'll also have another short out tomorrow sharing my prediction for the AEW Dynasty pay-per-view. So if you're interested in that prediction video, stay tuned for that. We'll have that out tomorrow. Once again, I want to thank you guys again for the constant support, the love, and the really the appreciation that I have for every one of you, man. It can't be overstated. You guys are the best. You make it so much fun to come here live and to have these interactions, have these conversations. It's the highlight of my day. Sunny says, Hangnail, Buckaroos, Ostrich, McFingerbangs, all the characters from Jim Cornette. Please always stay mad and piss on Russo's grave, and I will pray for your good health so you can. I want to see it. I want to see it. Cornette has been documented saying that if Russo goes first, he will pee on his grave. And I kind of want to see it. I'm not wishing death on anybody, but I want to see if he's a man of his word. One of my favorites is Cheap Heat, the host Peter Rosenberg. Yeah, of course, Peter Rosenberg. I'm a fan of his. I've said on previous streams I would love to have Peter Rosenberg's job, as he's, a frequent host on their pre-show and kickoff shows for their PLEs. Him and Sam Roberts and their relationship with the WWE is what I would aspire for. That's awesome. Being able to work hand in hand with them and basically keep kayfabe, which, I mean, I love that. So yeah, absolutely. I haven't heard, like, I don't listen to Cheap Heat, but I know of it. I've seen clips, on YouTube. Shout out to Peter Rosenberg, by the way, a fellow bald brother. But yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. I love it. If you're just joining us here on the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. I'm a fan of pro wrestling, hosting a pro wrestling channel for pro wrestling fans. And we move back to the stream here on the chat. Sunny says, which is your favorite wrestler podcast? Maven and Steven Richards are doing well, I hope. Yeah, no, so I listen to, I've seen a lot more Steven Richards lately. I do watch some of Maven stuff. He has great content as well. Steven Richards, I'm a fan of. I don't know about my favorite wrestler podcast, because Bruce Pritchard's not necessarily a wrestler, but I really like his stories because he gives in-depth storytelling and just behind the scenes. If I had to say for a wrestling podcast, it'd probably be Bruce Pritchard. But if we're talking of a specific wrestler, I enjoy 6 Feet Under with The Undertaker. I think that's fascinating. Probably those two, The Undertaker and Bruce Pritchard. Those are the ones. Booker T has a good one, the Hall of Fame podcast. TCG. TCG. CM Punk's favor is making Heyman call The Rock after Cena loses. The Rock comes out and tells Cody, you just got one more guy to fight. Cue static music. I don't know, man. Like, it is a possibility. In wrestling, you can never say never. But I just think the character of Punk wouldn't align himself with The Rock. He would align himself with Heyman. But in that scenario, it sounds like he's aligning with The Rock, and I can't see it. Punk could turn heel, but I don't see him aligning with The Rock. It's a very popular theory that a lot of people are saying that the Punk is going to get the favor of a championship opportunity at the end of WrestleMania 41. It's possible, but I don't know. I don't think so, truthfully. And I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I'm a Punk fan, but I just think whoever walks out of WrestleMania, it's going to be Cena or Cody. Chair shot to the head. When and what was the concussion-related controversy? Chair shot to the head. Which controversy? Are you talking about the Steven Richards one with JBL, or are you talking about the Undertaker chair shot? There's a lot of chair shots. CM Punk is an established star like Cena and Rock. Says these men are proven. Yeah, but it's just because CM Punk is presented as like that anti-authority. He's always been anti-authority. So for him to align himself with like The Rock, who's the final boss, that's where I find it difficult. Possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. You can never say never. But it's just for me, I find it difficult. A list of people who should have won the world championship but didn't, like Roddy Piper, Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect, would be a great topic. And there's so many. There are so many guys that were not world champions and could have been. I think Mr. Perfect in 1990 could have been a champion. I think certainly Scott Hall had the charisma and the character work that, could have carried the title. And I mean, a heel Roddy Piper versus Hogan, come on. That would have sold tickets. That would have sold tickets for sure. But yeah, that's a great talking point. Because like there's just so many people. I mean, I was gonna say maybe for the women as well, but no, like a lot of the women that won the title earned it, and the people who didn't necessarily need it. Scott Hall or Razor Ramon, who would you pay to watch? Is there really a wrong answer? Probably Razor. I don't know. That's tough. It depends on the day, I think. Right now, if you ask me, Razor. The theme song was cool. The chain and the vest that he had on. I like Razor. I think Scott Hall was very cool, of course, but I guess it depends on the day. And for right now, I'll say Razor. I think if he didn't leave the WWE in '96, Razor could have had a run. I really do, as the world champion. But he left. He went for the guaranteed money. Can't blame him. Got to go where the money's at, right? He's a businessman at the end of the day. Him and Kevin Nash made good business. They got guaranteed contracts working for WCW. Hall of Famer, class of 2014. The same class as the Ultimate Warrior. It's a crime that WWE doesn't have 97, 2002 Kane. Dude, yes. Yes. I don't get that. But I was thinking that. I was playing 2K the other week because it's been a minute since I played 2K. I just haven't had the time to. But yeah, I wonder, like, why do they not have the early incarnation of Kane, but they have that Kane? I will never use that Kane. I use the 2008 Kane more than that. But if he didn't left, we wouldn't get the iconic NWO members, so I guess it's a good thing. Yeah, you're not wrong there, Sonny. It's basically a sacrifice. No world championship, but you get the New World Order. And if anything, Scott Hall's legacy is solidified in that regard. That he was one of the detractors of WWE to WCW. Didn't win the world title, but we still talk about Scott Hall as one of the best to do it. So ultimately, I think it ended just fine. It worked out. But I am actually interested that he didn't even win the WCW title, and everyone, David Arquette and Vince Russo, won the WCW title, but Scott Hall never won it. Like, okay, buddy. I wonder how close Eric Bischoff was to winning that. Imagine. And I like Bischoff, but WCW was putting titles on everybody. Oklahoma, who was one of the former writers of WWE, Ed Ferrara, he won the cruiserweight title. Best attire for you. Let me tell you the worst. Rey Mysterio. I remember that the Silver Surfer stuff at SummerSlam '07. The best wrestling attire. Ooh, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. No. Oh man, the best wrestling attire. Because I mean, maybe it's not a definitive answer, but I think RVD. Rob Van Dam with the airbrushed like singlet, I think is so cool. It has a great look to it. That's one of the first ones, and that's just like overall, not like one specific gear. That's just overall. I really like Shawn's gear, Shawn Michaels, specifically the like the Montreal screw job in '97, or even the DX inspired Shawn Michaels gear in '97. There was a pay-per-view called D Generation X in Your House, and he had his black pants with just green X's all over. That's one up there for me too. Another missed great match, Bret Hart versus Eddie, and they just missed each other. Bret Hart leaves in 97, and Eddie comes in 2000. Just missed it. Just missed it, man. We saw Bret versus Benoit, but Eddie versus Bret would have, yeah, that would have been great. Great pick there by Salvi. That would have been, oh my god, that would have been an all timer. We're gonna keep going here for about another about 5 to 7 minutes here on the stream. For those people who are just joining us in the live stream, and if you just missed our conversation about the Ultimate Warrior, the entire live stream will be available in the archives following the completion of the live stream. Make sure you go back and you double check that little rundown of the career of the Ultimate Warrior. Make sure you comment down below in the comment section or in the chat as well some of the future topics that you would like to hear. I know Salvi has some great takes there and some great options for us to choose from in future live streams and future videos. So please always feel free to shoot your shot in the comments and let us know what you would be interested in. Sunny says Bret and Eddie has so many missed opponents too. Bret versus Kurt, Eddie versus Seth. I mean, literally, those guys could have a great match with anybody. That's how great they were. Eddie and Bret, all-time talents. Cody versus Owens should have made the Winged Eagle design. I'm with you. I honestly, part of me thought that that was going to be the time that we saw. There it is, the beautiful Winged Eagle title behind me. You can see that in the lives. You can see it in the background of all my videos. But yeah, it's a gorgeous title. I think it's the best looking WWE title. I think the best looking championship though is the big gold World Heavyweight title. But the Winged Eagle is the best WWE championship in my opinion, in my humble opinion, of course. And that's another topic we'll be discussing in a future upload. The best title designs. We'll get to that as well. Of course, keep your notifications on. That way you are notified when we have new uploads or new live streams or some posts in the community tab to keep you guys up to date with all the content that we produce here on YouTube. Sunny says, "Oh, really, Bret and Eddie? Can we have a great match? And with anybody, what about Giant Gonzalez, huh?" Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like they could. I feel like they could pull it out. I'm not saying it's gonna be a 5-star classic by no means, but I'm confident they could do something with it. I have that much faith in them. Giant Gonzalez is a crazy pick out too. Absolutely. I would kind of want to see how Bret would take down Giant Gonzalez because he's a very methodical type of wrestler. Every kind of move has a purpose. And I would like to see how Bret would chop down the Giant Gonzalez. So, yeah, actually, I think they could. I think they could pull it off, Sonny. Rest in peace to Giant Gonzalez. Jorge, I believe, isn't it? I think his name's Jorge in real life, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, I mean, a great conversation, guys. You guys, again, continue to show up for these live streams. Appreciate it as well. Keep up to date. Like I said, keep looking at that community post. We try to upload there and let you guys be notified. The next live stream will be Sunday. We'll have another live stream there discussing, like I said, the fallout of SmackDown, the preview of Monday Night Raw, maybe a little bit of discussion about AEW. So Sunday will be the next time we go live. CM Punk versus AJ Styles. Rumor is when Punk was a white hot in 2011 and 2012, a fan asked for a photo and Punk agreed, but asked the fan to turn his shirt inside out, which was AJ. I didn't know this. That's interesting. That'd be great. That'd be a great matchup to explore now. Punk and AJ. I would love to see that nowadays. Well, what would be chemistry be like between Osters and Bret Hart? I mean, one does 50. Yeah, that's an interesting matchup. Their styles might not mesh well, but it would be an interesting story. Because Will Ospreay very acrobatic? We know that, flying all over the place. How can Bret ground him? How can Bret Hart limit him and allow himself an opportunity to chop down Will Ospreay so he can't use his legs, so he can't spring around. Again, diving into the psychology of submission specialist Bret Hart. But I'm with Bret all day. Who wins, Kenny or Bret? I'm going for Bret, but I think they'll have. I think whoever books it's gonna have Kenny go over, but I'm pulling for Bret. Like Sonny says, Bret all day. If Bret loses, we ride. I'm with Bret all day. Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And if you don't like it, I mean, you know. If you know, you know. I know San Fran knows where I was going with that. As much as I love Kenny, but Bret is more versatile. Yeah, dude, Bret Hart's. He had an interview with Ariel Helwani, and Bret Hart was talking about how like there's a reason why a lot of people emulate the style of Bret Hart and Dynamite Kid and Kurt Hennig because that style just works. Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles would be fire. Would be. AJ would have a great match with anybody, including Giant Gonzalez. So once again, as we begin to bring this live to a close, I want to thank you guys for joining us here on a Thursday stream talking about the Ultimate Warrior. If you missed our early conversation in the first half of the stream, make sure to go back in the archives and rewatch that beginning. That way you stay up to date with everything pro wrestling, whether it's today or the past or hell, even the future. If you guys enjoyed this live stream, look forward to Sunday as well as next Thursday's live streams as we will continue to go live and joining on the discussion of professional wrestling. Keep an eye out for the AEW prediction video tomorrow and the Monday upload that will have up ranking every WrestleMania main event. Of course, if you guys enjoy this live stream, give it a thumbs up, like the video, comment some of your favorite aspects of the stream, or comment what are your predictions for WrestleMania 41 or hell, even your predictions for AEW Dynasty. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to stay up to date with all the pro wrestling content, make sure you turn on your notification bell. That way you stay up to date with all the notifications. Final chats here, we'll look at them. Total Bellas versus Total Divas. Who wins the Grand WrestleMania matchup? Find out next week. That's a question for another one, but I think we all know where we're going. Salvi, you're going to get the last one here. Cody now versus Bret at his top. Who wins? If we're saying Cody now versus Bret at his prime, I got to go with Bret Hart. Love Cody. That's my guy. He's one of my favorites right now. Between him and Punk, they're my favorites. Gotta go Bret Hart. Bret Hart, unless Cody made him emotional with his finish the story. He's not. Come on. Love Bret, love Cody, but Bret Hart all day. Love Cody, but Bret Hart. And I think he'd be okay with that answer as well. I want to thank you guys for joining us on today's live stream. We'll see you all on Sundays. Everyone, hopefully you have a safe night. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Sunday. Thank you for joining us on today's live stream. All love from the J area, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.